Welcome to AI Podcast. Today we're unpacking a NeurIPS 2025 paper called Memory Injection Attacks on LLM Agents via Query-Only Interaction.
Give me the headline first. What's the big takeaway?
TLDR, a regular user can quietly poison an AI agent's memory just by sending normal-looking queries. No special access, no plugins, just queries. The attack then makes the agent misbehave later when a specific victim asks a related question.
That's unsettling. Who's behind the work?
The paper is led by Shen and Zhen from Michigan State University, with collaborators from Georgia and Singapore Management University.
All right, before we dive into the trick, remind me what agent memory is in this context.
Think of an AI agent that keeps a long-term notebook. It saves past conversations and reasoning steps. When a new query comes in, it flips through that notebook, pulls a few similar pages, and uses them as examples to guide its answer.
So like keeping sticky notes of what worked before and reusing them.
Exactly. It boosts performance, but it also opens a door. If someone sneaks a bad sticky note into that notebook, the agent might reuse it later and go off course.
Got it. What was missing in prior research?
Earlier attacks usually assumed the attacker could directly edit the notebook or the knowledge base. That's powerful but unrealistic in many systems. The gap here is stricter. Can someone with only query access still plant bad notes that the agent later retrieves?
And the answer was yes.
Yes, and consistently. The authors introduce an attack they call Ninja. It's clever because it makes the agent write the bad note for you.
How does that work without direct writes?
3 moving parts. First, bridging steps. The attacker asks about a harmless-sounding entity, say Alice, but guides the agent's reasoning to pivot to Bob. That creates a learned path in the agent's notes from Alice to Bob.
So it's like teaching the agent that whenever it hears Alice, it should start thinking about Bob.
Right. Second, they add a short nudge in the prompt, an indication that pushes the model to include those bridging steps in its own explanation. The agent generates the reasoning itself, and whatever it generates gets stored.
And the third piece?
Progressive shortening. The attacker repeats the query a few times, each time removing more of the nudge, like taking off training wheels. The agent still produces similar bridging steps because it learned the pattern. Now you have multiple near-duplicate notes in memory that look normal and are easy to retrieve later.
So the notebook ends up full of natural-sounding pages that all point from Alice to Bob.
Exactly. And when the victim later asks about Alice, the retrieval system pulls those pages and steers the agent toward Bob-style reasoning.
What kinds of agents did they test?
3 types. A healthcare-style agent that reasons over electronic health records, a web shopping agent that browses and decides what to buy, and a general question-answering agent that uses past chains of thought as examples.
And the memory retrieval is just standard similarity search, right?
Yes. The system embeds each page of the notebook into vectors and pulls the top similar ones for the new query. The team also tried different embedding models and found the attack stayed strong.
How strong are we talking?
In their experiments, injection success was usually in the high 90s, meaning the attacker could reliably plant the pages. And the attack success, where the victim's later query gets steered, hovered around 3/4 on average, sometimes higher depending on the agent.
That's a lot of influence. Did it break normal performance?
Surprisingly, not much. On unrelated queries, the utility drop was small. That's part of why it's sneaky. The system still looks healthy, but certain users get nudged.
Can you give a concrete example of the pivot?
Picture a shopping agent. You ask about hiking socks, but the attacker's notes teach the agent to pivot toward a specific brand or a different product line. Later, when the victim asks for socks, the agent keeps surfacing that brand. In the health setting, you might see a pivot from one patient identifier to another, which is obviously dangerous.
So what stops this in practice? Did they try defenses?
They tried prompt-based detectors that ask the model to self-check for malicious intent. In some domains, like the health tasks, the detector caught many bad injections, but it didn't generalize well. In other domains, it missed most attacks, or it flagged too many benign pages.
The classic moderation trade-off: catch more attacks, and you also catch a lot of normal behavior.
Exactly. They also discuss policy-style defenses like per user memory isolation, rate limits on writes, decaying old notes, and diversity constraints during retrieval. Those help, but each has downsides. Isolation can hurt collaborative learning, rate limits can be bypassed with coordination, and diversity constraints can harm accuracy if overdone.
Let me sanity check the threat model. This assumes a shared memory pool across users, right?
Yes, if a system gives every user a private notebook, this specific cross-user attack can't spread. But plenty of agent frameworks do share memory to reduce cost and to generalize faster. The paper is a warning for those designs.
What about reproducibility? Any caveats?
Some tests rely on closed models through APIs, which mirrors real deployments but makes full replication harder. Also, the measurement of attack success focuses on whether the targeted reasoning appears, not necessarily on end-user harm, which can vary by application.
Still, the pattern is clear. If your agent retrieves examples from a shared notebook, it can be coached into bad habits by a patient attacker.
Well put, the subtlety is that the attacker isn't stuffing obvious poison. They're getting the model to produce seemingly helpful steps that later act like breadcrumbs.
So where does that leave builders? If I'm shipping an agent with memory, what should I do tomorrow morning?
Start with provenance and isolation. Treat memory writes like code commits, not sticky notes. Tag each note with who wrote it, throttle the write rate, and limit cross-user sharing by default.
And maybe separate raw transcripts from curated demonstrations.
Yes, only promote notes into the demonstration pool after automated scoring, and for sensitive domains, add human review. At retrieval time, add checks that the retrieved notes match the same entities as the current query. If a note keeps pivoting you from Alice to Bob, make the system justify that link.
I like that. It's like a bouncer at the door, asking each note, why should you be allowed in this conversation?
Exactly, and watch for progressive shortening patterns or clusters of near duplicates that come from the same source. That's a red flag.
Any open questions you'd like to see answered next?
Two big ones. First, can we design retrieval that's robust by construction, so a single pattern can't dominate what gets pulled? Second, can we make lightweight, reliable detectors that generalize across domains without drowning in false positives?
And maybe broader testing on open-weight models, since different reasoning styles could change how the attack plays out.
Absolutely, more public benchmarks would help the community get ahead of this.
All right, bring us home. What's the quick takeaway for listeners?
If your agent keeps a shared memory, assume a determined user can teach it the wrong lessons through normal conversations. Write policies, provenance, curated promotion, and retrieval time checks are not nice-to-haves. They are table stakes.
And talk to your security team before your notebook turns into a public graffiti wall.
Exactly. That's the show. Thanks for listening.
See you next time on AI Podcast.